My father installed a GPS tracker under my skin, an actual microchip, the kind you put in a dog, when I was 15, because he said a daughter who couldn't be found was a daughter already lost. My dad had always believed the outside world was a predator, and his children were prey. He didn't trust schools, didn't trust neighbors, didn't trust my friends' parents. It started small, the way these things do. He read my diary and announced its contents at dinner. He'd sit me down and demand a full accounting of every hour I'd spent away from the house. And if my timeline had gaps, he'd say the gaps were where the lies lived. He genuinely believed that any child allowed a single unsupervised moment would end up dead in a ditch, and that his vigilance was the only thing standing between us and catastrophe. When I turned 15, he escalated. He came home one day with a small sterile package he'd ordered online, the subdermal chips people use for pets, and a numbing kit. He told me it was non-negotiable. My mother stood in the doorway and said nothing. He injected it into the back of my arm himself, and from then on, he could open an app and see a glowing dot that was me, anywhere, anytime. At first, he framed it as safety. If you're ever taken, we'll find you in minutes. But it became a leash. He'd call the second the dot stopped somewhere he didn't recognize. He'd show up at the library, the corner store, a friend's house, just to confirm I was where the dot said. I developed a kind of constant low hum of dread, always aware that a part of my own body was reporting on me. I stopped going places. It was easier than explaining the dot. It poisoned everything. My older brother, who'd been chipped first, learned to leave his arm at home. He figured out he could slip the chip into his backpack and leave the backpack somewhere approved while he lived his actual life. When Dad found out, he stopped speaking to him for a month and called it treating his family like a prison he was escaping. My parents' own marriage was a cold war. Dad tracked my mother's car too, and they'd have silent, vicious fights about where she'd really been. Every dinner was an interrogation. I had a plan though. I'd saved money from a weekend job bagging groceries, and I found a walk-in clinic 2 towns over that would remove the chip, no questions, for cash. For 3 weeks after I had it taken out, I was free in a way I'd forgotten was possible. I could walk to the park. I could see my boyfriend Theo without my father materializing in the parking lot. I felt like a person. Then my brother, furious that I'd escaped what he couldn't, told my father. My dad's response was to detonate. He installed cameras in every room of the house, including my bedroom, with the feeds piped to a monitor in his office. He took my phone, pulled me out of my after-school program, and told the parents in my grade that I'd fallen in with dangerous people and shouldn't be allowed near their kids. He told Theo's mother I'd been hospitalized for a psychiatric condition. He filed a report claiming Theo was a predator and called the police when Theo came by to check on me. The house became a sealed box. I wasn't allowed to close a door. I wasn't allowed to be unwatched. But that last move was the one that ended him. When the officers arrived to respond to my father's complaint about Theo, they stepped into our living room, and there, on the monitor Dad hadn't thought to hide, was the live feed from my bedroom and the bathroom, both rooms clearly displayed. A 15-year-old's private spaces broadcast on a screen in plain view. One officer went very still. The other asked my father carefully what exactly they were looking at. My dad started explaining about safety, about protection, about the dangers out there, the same speech I'd heard 10,000 times. The officers weren't listening anymore. They called Child Protective Services from our driveway. A caseworker was at the house within hours. My father kept insisting he'd done nothing wrong, that a good parent monitors everything, that we'd thank him one day. My mother tried to claim she hadn't known the full extent, but when the caseworker sat each of us down separately, my brother and I told them everything, the chip, the cameras, the years of it. We told them all of it. My arm still has a small scar where the chip went in. I keep it. It reminds me that the dot is gone, and that I'm the only one who knows where I am now.